Hey everyone, sorry about that. I think we are live, and I don't know if anyone is going to be here live with me, but the important announcement is that the Intermediate Maths Challenge grade boundaries have now been released, and I wanted to tell you about that as soon as I could. Let me take these out so I can hear properly. So we can see here over at the UKMT website, and I'll show you my website as well. The boundaries have been set incredibly low this year. Many people were asking or telling me that they thought this was perhaps the hardest maths challenge in a while, the hardest intermediate maths challenge. And if you have worked out your score, you'll now be able to know what you've got. Hi Ishan, 62. Yeah, so 62 would just get you a gold certificate this year. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the Mathsaurus website, my website, where we can see the past grade boundaries here, so we can compare them to previous years at the same time as well. Tell me what you think you've got in the comments. But it was only 35 for a bronze certificate, so that was about 7 questions right. If you remember, it's 5 marks for questions 1 to 15 and 6 marks for 16 to 25. That's the lowest it's been for a bronze certificate for, I think, as long as I've got in this list. Yeah, no, back in 2001 it was 32. But nothing else since then. A silver 46, also the lowest for a very long time. So that's about, I suppose 10 questions. If you got 1 to 10 right, you get a silver certificate. A gold 61, only needed 13 questions. So, these boundaries aren't crazily lower than previous years, but they're quite significantly lower. Last time it was anywhere near that was in 2016 with 62. And to qualify, here's where it really gets crazy. For the grey and the pink kangaroos, again, gold certificate is all you need for the grey kangaroo. That's the follow-on round, like the multiple choice one, like the intermediate maths challenge for years 9 and below. And for the pink kangaroo, that's for years 10 and 11, or equivalent year groups around the world. And for the Cayley, Hamilton and Maclaurin, the boundaries were way lower, which I think shows that maybe questions 21 to 25 were significantly harder than in past years. Only 86 for the Cayley, 93 for the Hamilton, and 98 for the Maclaurin, meaning that you could have got into even the Maclaurin Olympiad by just doing questions 1 to 20 this year. And again, don't forget, if you've qualified for those follow-on rounds, or if you're just interested in them, you can take a look at some of the free resources I've got over at the Mathsaurus website that can help you. And I'm going to answer any questions that we've got here and have a look at your boundaries here. I don't know if people are going to find this live. I didn't advertise it. I just wanted to get this out straight away. So I'm planning to stay here for 15 minutes or so, maybe longer if lots of people turn up. We'll see. So let me have a look at what you're saying. So yes, SM 100-ish, yeah, really great score. That would get you into any of the Olympiad rounds this year. And you might have been concerned about that if you were trying to qualify for the Olympiad. In previous years that wouldn't quite have got you there. But remember, the Olympiad rounds are always set on number of students getting into them. I think it says on these pages here, follow-on round information about the top 500 scorers in year 9 and below going to the Cayley Olympiad, about the top 500 in year 10 into the Hamilton, and about the top 500 in year 11 into the Maclaurin. So in theory, actually, there's no reason, it could be one year maybe the Maclaurin boundary will be lower than the Hamilton one, right? It would be very unusual, but it's based on the number of people, and very unlikely. I mean, it's based on the number of people and what scores they got. So 100 here is a really exceptional score. It puts you in the top 500 in the highest year group here. And then 4,000 get into the grey kangaroo and 7,000 into the pink kangaroo automatically. But don't forget, you can also make discretionary entries into those rounds if you want to. So you can still enter it if you ask your school. There's a small fee to pay. I think it's used to be £4 or £5. I think £4 for the kangaroos and 25 for the Olympiads. But check what it is this year. We could have a look at the website perhaps. But it's in that sort of order, and you can still take it anyway. Let me put those boundaries back on the screen for those of you that are just joining us. We've got 35 for a bronze, 46 for a silver, 61 for a gold, 61 for the grey kangaroo, 61 for the pink kangaroo, 86 for the Cayley, 93 for the Hamilton, and 98 for the Maclaurin, making this probably the hardest IMC paper in recent history. I put the somebody commented on my video where I went through the live stream on Saturday, where I went through the IMC paper, where I said, is it the hardest IMC ever, with a question mark. I wasn't sure. I like to hedge my bets a little bit. People always come out saying they thought it was really hard, but the results have proven that here. Haven't seen the boundaries this low for a very long time. Back in 2001, I think it was, wasn't it? There was 2009, there was quite a hard one. Yeah, so there's it's been a while since you could qualify for the Maclaurin Olympiad with a score of less than 100. I've been saying I think they're going to get harder over the years because I don't think they want the boundaries up here at 117, 118. I think they want it to be so there's always a challenging paper and it's always really separating those top students and not just punishing silly mistakes. Let's have a look through. Caden got 60. That's unlucky. Well, still a great result, by the way. Getting a silver, it's a really good result. Shame to be one. Always shame to be 1 mark off the boundaries. But again, remember 3 to 2 to 1 ratio of the top 50%. So if you get a silver, you're in the top third of people taking the paper. Because you're in the top quarter of people taking the paper because you're in the top half of the top half. If you get a bronze, you're in the top half, and if you're getting a gold, you're in the top 1/6 of the top half, so in the top 1/12 of people taking the paper. But again, I hope it's not all about that competition. It's nice to have these certificate boundaries. Hopefully you also just enjoy the problems, learn a lot from it. Some people, by the way, are really good at maths and not so good at maths challenges because it's quite specific topics, or it's because they struggle with the time pressure. There's more time pressure in maths challenges and other exams, and that's fine. You can do really well in life. Anyway, but there's something nice about preparing for the maths challenges. I think they really help you with problem solving. Personally, I don't particularly like to, even when I'm doing them now, I don't try to do the maths challenges under time pressure. I just sort of work through the problems and enjoy them, and I think you can get a lot from them in that sense as well. So hopefully you agree. I'll put that table back up on my Mathsaurus website again so you can compare them to previous years here as well. And I'm going to keep looking through the comments. Ishan, I just wanted to ask, what would this certificate help with for sixth form entries? You can absolutely, people put their intermediate maths challenge results on sixth form entries. They even put them on university entrance, UCAS forms and things like that, and applications. Especially if you've done well, then it's a great extra thing to add in. Shows your also because the IMC is optional, right? It also shows a sort of enthusiasm and eagerness, and that's always a good thing. But it's not as important as your GCSE and your A-level results, but it's definitely a good extra thing. And especially the Olympiads really do test something, and they can be a ticket to certain they can really help on your university applications for sure, which is a good reason to do these as well, but as well as just enjoying the maths. This one was hard, Dev. I agree. I think it was. Harry, we were allowed to take the question paper out. It's my school getting sued. No, I think you're allowed to take the question paper out after the challenge. You're not meant to talk about them online afterwards and things like that. So maybe they're meant to take them back in at the end, but it's not a huge problem. I mean, the maths challenges are taken seriously, but they don't have the same sort of level of security as GCSE and A-level papers. Different schools do them at different times and things like that. So perhaps if schools are doing them early in the morning, it's probably better if they take them in. But if they're doing them later in the day, I don't know. You're not allowed, are you? Is that what it says? I just don't know. Does it say on the? So we could have a look at the paper. Does it say on the paper that you're not meant to take it out? Maybe. Anyway. Probably just depends on your school and how well they've read the instructions. Even things like you're not allowed squared paper calculators and rulers and that sort of thing. Sometimes I've seen people with rulers in maths challenges, and you're not meant to have them, but it doesn't really help you that much. Certainly calculators shouldn't be allowed, though, in the maths challenge. And again, if you want the full walk through the paper, I did a live stream on Saturday going through that whole paper, so you can see how to do them, and the official UKMT videos are out there on the website as well that you can watch, who have also produced solutions. I still make mine as well. I think it's good to see them done in different ways. I hope you enjoy those, and I hope you watch the official UKMT ones as well. And if anyone from the UKMT is watching, thank you for all of the work you put into the paper. I thought it was a really fun paper. I'm pleased that they're getting harder. The questions were interesting, and I know lots of students have really enjoyed them. So that is the main thing. Let me keep looking at these comments. We're not allowed. Okay, I got 80. Yep. So let's just put those boundaries back on here. You can see this year's boundaries at the top of this page. And again, they're pretty quick getting the results out. Again, it's only been a week, and they've been getting quite fast in recent years. So 80 would depends what. Actually, it doesn't depend what year group you're in. You've qualified for the Kangaroo. grey or the pink kangaroo, and you've got a gold certificate. Well done, Gus. Harry Ranger got 44. Excellent, good work. Bronze certificate puts you in the top half. Now again, don't forget, I know I often sort of focus on the gold and the Olympiad because we get a lot of people coming talking about them, but top half of everyone taking the paper gets you 30, would be at 35 here, and silver top 1/4. So only 1 in 4 people taking this paper got 10 out of 25 or more. Basically, you've done really, really well. And remember, only sort of relatively strong students, only quite enthusiastic students tend to take this paper in the first place. So it is a great result, and you should be very proud of that. 65, 1 mark away from the pink kangaroo. Yeah, that's a bit annoying, but you've got a gold certificate, which is of course incredibly good, and you can enter the pink kangaroo if you want to. Anyway, it's a discretionary entry for a few pounds if your school will let you. You could even enter the Olympiad if you fancied having a go at it. I would strongly recommend having a go at Olympiad problems. They're really fun, totally different from the maths challenge questions. Whether or not you actually want to take the paper under time conditions, they're long exams, like a couple of hours to answer just 6 questions, and you've got to give full working, but they've got some really, really neat maths in there, and I'm going to try and put some more videos out about that between now and the Olympiad with some solutions and things. So there's already some on the Mathsaurus website in the free course over there. In fact, let me just show you quickly if you go to the Olympiad page, I've linked it in the description below. You can go to the free course, get ready for the intermediate Olympiad, and there's some Cayley and Hamilton solutions in there from previous years, and I'm going to try and add some more in as well. There's also one for the grey and the pink kangaroo on the kangaroo page, which I think has just got grey kangaroo questions in it at the moment, but we're trying to add some more in. If you're doing the kangaroos, they're a lot more similar to the intermediate maths challenge, so just practicing harder intermediate maths challenge questions is also very useful, which is why I don't focus on those as much, and they're just for some reason not quite as popular as the Olympiad ones as well when I do the live classes and things. So we've got live classes that I'm running in the February half term which are not free, I'm afraid, but where you can work with me in a smaller group and we can go through some Olympiad problems, but I will also be trying to put some more extra free content out as well for all of you. Right, I'm way behind on the comments. I'm going to keep going through. Do you think it was harder because of the time or the questions were too hard? Well, I mean, yeah, it's a mixture, isn't it? I mean, it's always a balance of those two things. I mean, it's that the questions were harder and that means you can't do them in the time. But yeah, I think somebody was commenting previously that some of the earlier questions were also just a little bit incrementally harder. So maybe you didn't end up having as much time even to look at questions 21 to 25. And then those questions were in themselves also very challenging. I don't think it was I think the last question was a bit of a curveball, the hard probability one. They don't ask that sort of stuff as much. There were some very difficult questions in there, but I think for me it was probably a bit more that it was like a gradual build up of all the questions being a little bit harder. Even the very early ones maybe were a little bit harder than usual. It's very hard to judge exactly. Haven't even got bronze. Well, don't worry. You can have another go next time. And so the main thing of these, hopefully you enjoyed the questions, and if you go through the solutions and you've learned something from them and you think you can do better next time, or you've just learned a bit of maths, that's the real game we're playing here. That's the win in these maths challenges. Yes, the certificates are nice to get, but I'd much rather someone come to me and say, you know what, I didn't get a certificate, but I really enjoyed it and I learned something, compared to someone who comes to me and says, yeah, I've qualified for the Maclaurin Olympiad, I don't really care about the questions, I just want to put it on my UCAS application or whatever. For me, I would work with the student who's keen and enthusiastic every day. Harry, if you do questions 15 to 20 and get 1 correct and the other 4 wrong, you earn 2 marks. Yeah, so for 16 to 20, so for 1 to 15, it's free to guess. For 16 to 20, if you left it blank, you just get 0. That's fine. But if you actively get it wrong, you might lose a mark. And if you actively got 21 to 25 wrong, you lose 2 marks each. So the worst score you could get on this paper, I guess, would be -15 if somehow you got everything wrong and you actually did guess all of them and got them wrong, and that would be hard. How did you do discretionary entries to Olympiad? Because I was 7 away from Maclaurin and lost to silly mistakes. Yeah. You need to do that through your school, so ask the head of maths or a maths teacher, and if they're willing to enter you, then you can, either you or they can pay the fee, and then you can enter. Harry emailed at UKMT and said we weren't. I presume you're talking about being able to take the papers out. Yeah, probably officially you're not meant to take the papers out, although I do always see people. I think they probably want to keep the papers secure, until the end of the day, because people do sometimes do them at different times. If you've got 65, do you think I could do pink kangaroos? That was 66 plus. Well, I mean, if I was your teacher when I was your school, and you wanted to enter, I would definitely let you. You won't get a certificate of qualification for the kangaroo. That's the difference when you make a discretionary entry. You haven't qualified automatically, so you don't get that qualification certificate, but you do get the participation certificate either way, and you can still, if you do well in those rounds, get the well, it used to be merit in the kangaroos. It's now you get gold, silver, and bronze certificates, and in the Olympiads you can get the merit and distinctions and the medals if you do really well. For that stuff, it doesn't matter whether you have qualified automatically or whether you've made the discretionary entry. You get the same anyway. GG same. I'm not sure what the same as, but yep, okay. Harry, I'm just happy I attempted it honestly. I got 44. And when you're 8, yeah, really good. And especially if you're doing it at a younger age. I mean, you're not even meant to do the IMC until you're in year 9. So if you're in year 8 and doing that, that is a really excellent result. If you've got any sort of certificate at all, that's a bonus. But just having a go at it, it's always a good idea. It's nice to have a go. Maybe a year before. So if you're in year 11, have a go at the Senior Maths Challenge in September isn't a bad idea. So if you're in year 10 now, doing it in September, if your school will let you. Sometimes schools don't like to do that because it's a bit of an admin problem sometimes, and timetabling and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's a good thing to have a go at, and you can have a go at the questions anyway, right? And work through my free courses. I've got free courses for all the main maths challenges, loads of past paper questions for the junior, the intermediate, and the senior maths challenges. I even like going, I still do all of them, right? I'm way too old for these, but as an intermediate student, even going back to the junior competitions when they come out and having a go at them, I think is quite fun. The later questions are still very hard, and still build your problem solving muscles in the right sort of way sometimes, because it's not about pushing to harder topics, it's about what you do with those topics. So yeah, have a go at the junior. Actually, that's a good challenge to you all. Have a go at the junior maths challenge and see what you can do. Just threw the Olympiad on an easy question, so annoyed. So well, if you were just unlucky not to get there because you made an easy mistake, it sounds like you're doing really well. It's only 500 people in each year group automatically qualifying, so it's very hard to qualify for the Olympiads, and don't beat yourself up too much. There's a lot more time pressure in maths challenges than in other types of maths exams, and in the real world there are some situations where doing things under time pressure is helpful, but for the most part, if you can do good, accurate solutions and get the answers in a bit longer, and you can check your work, some people are a bit more prone to making silly mistakes, and in the real world you've usually got time to check through and to double check and have another go at things, and it's not always it's not necessarily the worst characteristic. It's a very hard one to sort of fix that as well, because really the answer to not making silly mistakes is to try to be calmer, and probably the answer is probably more along the lines of doing some meditation or something before you go into the exam than it is about any particular maths exam, right? You know what I mean? Not necessarily, it doesn't have to be meditation, but it's more about sort of presence and focus and those sorts of things, rather than mathematical ability. But exam pressure and all of that sort of stuff is very real. So maybe I'll try and make some videos and some advice about that at some point. Fumble pink kangaroo of question 2. Oh yeah, that's always annoying. I remember having a student like this once, and I can't remember. I think he'd done the IMC and he did really, really well overall, and he got question 1 wrong, and we were like, got to be careful. Right, would have got silver if I did answer 16 to 25 one question. Yeah, really close, exactly. But again, you've got plenty of time to do it in future years. Have another go. I've learned enough through this year's IMC that you shouldn't. Okay, don't know. Sorry, I've lost the thread. I think I'm not sure what that's in response to. Hopefully, I get gold. Oh, I'm going to just try something. Apparently, I can add this. I can add this to the broadcast. I didn't know just that. There we go. That's great. Yeah, hopefully, I get gold. Yep. Well, again, you can work out your score, of course, if you remember what you got right, because you can go to the paper. The solutions are out. I did the solutions on Saturday, and you can check your answers against that, and it's multiple choice scoring. If you don't remember exactly, obviously you might not be so sure. I realised I got 70, not 65. Yay. Okay, excellent, good stuff. Right, good work. Then you're definitely into the kangaroos, did you? Congratulations. I got question 2 wrong. Okay, yeah, that's unlucky. Okay, let me go through this again. So how does the marks work? How do the marks work? Again, so 5 marks for each of questions 1 to 15 if you get it right. 6 marks for each of 16 to 25 if you get it right. For 16 to 20, if you get it wrong, you lose a mark. But if you just leave it blank, you don't. Okay, so you can get either +6, 0, or -1. And for 21 to 25, you lose 2 marks if you get it wrong. But again, if you leave it blank, you get 0. So you can either get +6, 0, or -2. And then you can add them all together. You can get a score between 135 is the top, I think, and -15 would be the worst if you got them all wrong and actually guessed all the others wrong. I think actually, getting -15 is probably harder than, or just as hard as getting full marks, right? Because because you've got to actively make sure you don't get any right. So you still need to know the answers to make sure you don't, right? Okay. Right, where did I get to? Harry, yeah, +5. Oh yeah, you're just saying exactly what I've just said. That is accurate, correct. Right, let's have a look at these. I'm just putting these up without reading them. Hope you're seeing sensible things. Let me make it a bit bigger as well so we can see it. I learned through this is IMC that you shouldn't spend too long on a question. If you don't understand how to solve it in under 5 minutes, then just skip it. Do you agree? Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. And timing is a much bigger factor in the maths challenges than in other school maths exams. And, you're usually after a few minutes on a question, especially if you don't know what you're doing, better off just going on to another one. If you're making progress on a question and you can see how to do it and there's just a bit of work to do, sometimes it can be worth spending the extra minute rather than doing a new one if you're confident that you can get to the answer. But time management is definitely a factor in the maths challenges for sure. How should I prepare for the Kaylee? I did the 2025 paper, I can only do 3 out of 6. Firstly, let me say, if you can do 3 out of 6, you are doing very, very well. Most people can't do half of the paper. Again, the boundaries, if you look at them, are low to get to the merit. But you can definitely improve. I've got a course over at the Mathsaurus website with some past Kaylee questions where I walk through some of them. But it's all about your working as well. So, remember, it's not about the answers. Sometimes the answers are even given to you in the questions. It's all about the quality of your written working. So look not just at whether you're getting how many you're getting out of 6, but how many marks out of 10 you're actually getting for each of those questions. But again, the Olympiads are meant to be the hardest things out there for your age group, right? Only the top 500 qualify. A lot more people do, and usually a few thousand enter it as discretionary entrance as well, I think. But really, really meant to be very challenging. So take it in that spirit. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy the difficult problems. You'll get better over time as long as you don't give up. As long as you just keep going, right? And keep that curiosity about the answers. Okay. AB Chess Gang. Let's go. Got 75. Didn't get Olympiad, but happy to get the following round. Yeah, incredible result. Only 1 in 12 get a gold certificate, and you've gone even further than that. So, well done. How does the mark? Per question. Okay, I think I answered that second. If you're still not sure, so how's the mark a question? How many marks in everything? How does marks work? I think I said sorry, I'm a bit behind on the chat, so I've answered that one. I'm sure I got 55, not the best, but I'll take silver. Yeah, absolutely, great result. As I've said, well done. When will teachers give marks back? I did mine through ACEDA. Yeah, so that means you're in Asia somewhere, I think, or outside the UK anyway. Yeah, it can be a bit different when you do it through the international centres. But even in the UK, teachers give them back at different times. Sometimes they like to wait for an assembly to do certificates. There's a bit of admin for whoever runs the maths challenges to do, where they have to go on the website and they have to distribute it to the teachers and all that sort of stuff. So different schools have different policies on it, but you will know your result now if you remember what you got right or wrong, of course, and you can work it out yourself. Otherwise, you just have to ask your teacher. But every school, there's not like a set date where the teachers have to give it back. They can do it any time. Is gold in year 8 IMC good or not really? Yeah, yeah, Agent. I mean, gold is very, very good. You're in the top 1 in 12 people taking this paper. Even as a year 11 student, gold is incredibly good. So if you're doing that in year 8, then you're very far ahead. But again, I would really also encourage you to, whether you're a good student or not is not determined by whether or not, for me, is not determined by whether or not you get a gold certificate in this. It's really determined by, are you taking the right approach? Are you enjoying the problems? Are you reflecting on them? I hope, I hope we're not, it's not about sort of being ahead or being the best necessarily, although, obviously we want to strive to do the best we can. But what I mean is compete against yourself. And encourage your friends to do just as well. And actually, that's a really big unlock if you can find a couple of other people who like them as well and work on it together. And yeah, there can be a bit of jostling and competition against each other for it. That can be healthy, but overall, you're getting a lot better at it together. That's how you really win at this game. It's not by getting the best mark and telling everyone you've got the best result. It's by getting a good mark, being respected for it, and then helping other people to do the same thing, I hope, and doing that in a nice way, which I'm sure is what you're doing. You got to the McLaurin though. I also do think it's an incredible achievement if you get into those Olympiads, and I want to say a big well done to you. And do tell me about this. I love to hear when you've got into these Olympiads, especially if you've come to the classes and done the courses. So congratulations on that. There's such a fine balance, isn't there? I think, and I think if you are a really good student, it can be hard as you go through to balance that. You're really good. If you've got into the McLaurin Olympiad, yeah, you are really, really good at maths, and well done to you. Congratulations. And yeah, how we navigate that, and how we strike that balance between being proud of our achievements and encouraging other people to be to be happy with theirs as well. I think basically everyone even doing the maths challenges is doing a great thing, and so yeah, I want to strike that balance here, and I hope that's coming across. How does that? Yeah, so how does? Oh, sorry, I've already done that. You've asked me a few times. I think sorry, I was way behind on the chat. I'm so pleased to see all you over here as well. Thanks for. I wasn't sure anyone was going to come along. I just switched this on. So great to have some of you here. How my school did say bad. The average was bronze. Yeah, it varies a lot between schools as well. You do get some schools that do a lot of preparation for it, and lots of people do well. Average being bronze is very good still, though. I mean, that's still like the average person being in the top, above the top half of people that are taking the IMC. Right? It's not about being in the top half of people in the country. Only a subset of students take the IMC in the first place, so not everyone does, and it's usually slightly stronger ones. You got silver or gold though, amazing, well done. So shows that people in your school can do it. School's average is participation. Yeah, I think that's more typical, to be honest, and that should be more typical in a way, right? I mean, half people get participation, and so it's the most common certificate you can get is participation, which is what you get if you don't quite meet the bronze. Yeah, really good. Oh yeah, so that's in response to, this was I think someone replying to this comment. Yeah, I agree, we've talked about that. I think I got grey. Christopher, well done. Yeah, great result. Given what lives you have for learning number 3 advice, I think you mean. Again, I've got courses that have some of this content covered, but definitely, oh yeah, you've corrected advice. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, to be honest as well, my courses and the past papers, I think, you can really get so much from them. And when you do the past papers, don't forget they also publish that solutions and investigations document, where for every question there are additional questions related to it, and you can really go into a bit more depth about those questions. So I would definitely have a look at those. There are some great other books out there. These ones are really good if you can get hold of them. They're a bit expensive and they're American, but the Art of Problem Solving books I've recommended many times before. From the Mathematical Association of America are excellent. There are maths challenges around the world you can practice as well, and yeah, so there's a lot of stuff out there, and I'm trying to make as much. I'm going to put as many videos as I can out on YouTube, as well as ones that go into the courses. Interesting question. I get this question a lot. If I'm in year 9, can you still do the pink kangaroo? So often you might have qualified and the same with the Olympiads, right? You might be in year 9, but you've got 100 and you've qualified for the McLaurin Olympiad, right? And usually you just do the one for the year group you're in. And I think, and to me, I don't see why you would do any other one. Sometimes people want to do the pink kangaroo because of, I don't know, because it's harder, or they just want to do the hardest one. But I would really advise you to just do the one that you're meant to be doing, because they're really tough exams. The follow-on rounds are even harder than the maths challenge in the first place, right? So especially, let's talk about the Olympiads, right? If I was in year 9 or below and I qualified for the Cayley Olympiad, and someone said, do you want to do the McLaurin instead? I would say, no, I want to do the Cayley Olympiad. To get in, it's the top 20 people in the country that get a gold medal, right? If you've got any chance of getting into that, so in the Olympiads, right, you get certificates, but you can also get medals, right, for the very top performers, and you really want to maximize your chances of trying to get those at that point. And again, just doing well. Now, after the Olympiads happen, sure, have a go at the McLaurin questions as well. They're really interesting. They're really fun to have a go at. Have a go at the pink kangaroo questions. Have a go at them. But wait till year 10 and 11 to do the one that you're meant to be doing, and just maximize your chances of, okay, I'm saying that we want to mostly focus on enjoying the problems, which you can do by just doing them all in your own time. But we also want to maximize our chances of getting the best results, which you do by taking the slightly easier paper as the official one, right? Unless, yeah. Okay, right. That's the right way to approach it. Okay. Find the questions are genuinely much more fun without the time pressure. Yeah, I think I agree, to be honest. I mean, I think like the competitive aspect of it like creates excitement about it, and we have to have some time limit to get certificates, but it'd be really interesting, wouldn't it, to see like if we made the IMC like 2 hours or you made it a shorter paper, how that would affect like who did well, because you could still have and that's kind of how the Olympiads are, right? I think in the Olympiads there's time pressure, but you've got 2 hours to do 6 questions and to write up the solutions, and on the whole I think people just, it's not that they run out of time, it's that they mostly get all the maths done that they could in that time. And okay, with perhaps with lots more time you could do more, but the Olympiads are a bit more like that, so they're good as well, I suppose. I'm checking my results for the 2026. Could you let me know what mark I received? Well, I don't know how you did, I'm afraid. I'm not the exam board. I'm not your teacher. I don't have access to the but yeah, if you can tell me what if you tell me what score you've got, once you've added up your score, then we can check it against the boundaries here and we can tell you what certificate you've got. You have got 60. Yep. Great result still. I know it's always annoying to be one off of a grade boundary, isn't it? But yeah. How can I check? So if you don't know how to find your results, sometimes people have access to to this online challenges profile thing. I think that might have been more, I'm a bit out of touch with the actual admin of it. So sometimes people tell me they can log in somewhere and see it, or that might have been only when they were doing them electronically. Otherwise you just have to ask your teacher or whoever, ask your maths teacher, and they'll be able to tell you, or whoever entered you for the UKMT if you didn't do it by your maths teacher. One off a gold, yeah, annoying, isn't it? But still, incredible result. Silver, top quarter of people taking the paper, and you kind of know you're close to the top 12 at that 12th at that point as well. We got 44. Am I in the top? Yeah, exactly. So there's going to be some. We don't know exactly where the distribution is between the boundaries, but we could kind of take a sort of rough guess that if one is at a top quarter and one is at top 12th, then there's going to be some interpolation, we might call it, between those things. 110. Madhav is an excellent result. Congratulations. Are you the Madhav who comes to my classes? I don't know. Anyway, perhaps you are. If you are, then well done. Yeah, teacher will send them to you if you don't know exactly. 101 again qualifies you for any Olympiad. Congratulations. And got 124 as a year 9 is a really exceptional result at St Martha. Yeah, well done. 127 also a very, very good result. So yeah, and again, I wouldn't focus on your exact scores here. If you've got anywhere near, if you've got above the Olympiad's boundaries, you're doing really, really incredibly well. The exact mark you get is going to depend on the questions on the day and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, really, really well done. When I first did the paper, did I think it was as hard as the comments said? Yeah, I mean, I worked through it on the Friday morning when I first got it, when they put it on the website. And yeah, I mean, I don't try and do the paper under time pressure. I always do the paper because I'm sort of preparing to go through the solutions and put them into the courses. But it did strike me that getting it done in an hour would have been a big ask. And I suppose I probably put myself in the category of people who also like a bit more time, because I've never liked doing the quick bit of work and get the answer. When I was a student, I did do that a bit more to play the game, but especially now, I really enjoy writing out nice solutions to things. And you've got to really, it's the instinct to sort of not do that and just to get the answer is different. Of course, if I was doing it they say you can't, there's that phrase I think in investing they say you've got to have skin in the game to kind of really to know it. I'm never really doing it for the gold certificate, so I don't know how I'd behave if I was really doing it for some reward or something. I probably would totally change how I approached it, and I would just do it in a different way. But it's kind of an interesting thing that I noticed. But yeah, I think it was tough, and I said that on the stream before. The thing I'm always cautious about is that I feel like every year students tell me, oh, this one seems harder than the previous ones, but usually there's a bit more of a balance. And this year, there was a lot more percentage of people that were saying, I think this is really, really tough. Good job. Yep. And yeah, let's celebrate each other's successes as well. I'd love to hear about your own, and I'd love to see you saying congratulations to other people as well. And I think getting a really good score in year 9 is excellent. Do tell us about it here. And yeah, I mean, I'd be proud of it. If people ask you about it, I mean, it's one of these things. As I say, being a good student, it can be hard to, you want to don't rub it in people's faces, but do celebrate it and congratulate yourself for that, and hope you enjoy and do really well in the following round. Yeah, and you are, and in fact, even before I've got down to the comments, and you have already said that, so I think you're a great student and a nice one as well, which is for me is just as important. What did you get wrong? Yeah, having a chat in here, that's great. Alex, my son got 117. I was anxious if we get into the Kaylee. When I get into the McLaurin. Yeah, exactly. I think that's the thing. When it was a hard paper this year, I suspected it was. I didn't want to be too confident because I don't want to raise people's hopes. And I'm not always the best judge of like whether it's an easy or hard paper. Although I've done lots of them, they start to look a little bit the same to me over the years. In some ways, but I did also notice that some of the questions that I'd found easy were just because I'd seen very similar questions before, rather than because they were easy questions. If that makes sense. So I think there was. So that was a bit of an alarm bell to me. I was like, there was a couple of the geometry questions. It was like, I know exactly how to do this and I can do it straight away. But it's only because there was one almost the same in one of the American maths challenges that I did, right? So I think it was hard. So yeah, congratulations. Running some live classes in the February half term. If you want to come and practice for the Kaylee, then have a look at the Mathsaurus website. Okay, it didn't answer 22. What resources did you use? Yeah, I'll see. Okay, let's... Test was hard, but preparation was key. Yeah, and this is the thing, right? There's a sort of false thing that goes around that says you shouldn't prepare for the maths challenges. And I talk to teachers sometimes, and I say, sometimes even when I say I make preparation courses, they're like, oh, they say to me, oh, you shouldn't do that because the maths challenges are meant to just be a bit of fun. But the thing is, loads of people do prepare for them. I didn't go to private schools myself as a child, but I went to teaching them, and then I realised quite how much preparation some people were doing for this, and I wanted to get much more of it out there, and I wanted to help more people be prepared for them and to get good at them and to be able to enjoy them, because I don't think you necessarily need to do loads of preparation, but doing just a bit of preparation, doing a couple of past papers, understanding the topics that are going to come up can get you so far with relatively little effort. Not little effort, but you know what I mean, that you can, even just doing like one past paper helps so much. Okay. And the difference between doing 0 and 1 past paper is just enormous. And then once you've done 1 past paper, I think you get slightly diminishing returns each time you practice another one. But it's just so good for you. It's like getting regular exercise. I think doing a maths challenge paper every month is a great habit. And really pleased it's gone well for you. Okay, so how big is the jump from McLaurin to BMO 1? Yeah, I mean, that's a hard question to answer. I mean, it's the next Olympiad up. There is also the Mathematical Olympiad for girls. That sort of is a good bridge between them, whether you're a girl or not. The questions are really interesting, and there's a sort of they're good problems to help you bridge from McLaurin to BMO. But yeah, there is a big step up, BMO 1 and then BMO 2, of course, and then you're into the qualifying for the maths team, the British maths team and all that sort of stuff. How did everyone do so good? Yeah, okay, I want to say, when I put content out, Ethan, know this. You are here in a room with 35 people at the moment, who I'm delighted are here. You're going to mostly be around people that are quite enthusiastic about this and quite keen about this, right? We tend to when I do something like this, it filters people who care about it, want to know the results right away. They're often the people that have done really well. I think a couple of, 200,000 or 300,000 people, I think it is, do this paper every year. Half of them don't get 35 out of the maximum 135, right? So don't get 7 questions right. They're meant to be hard papers, and especially if you haven't done so much practice or preparation for them. If you've got a bronze certificate, you're in the top half of people who have done it, right? Who have done this paper. And even if you haven't got a bronze certificate, you're still in the group of people that are taking the maths challenge, who are usually slightly better maths students, right? Individual results. If there are any teachers in the room, please answer this for me. I'm a bit out of touch with the actual. Haven't worked in the school for a few years, so I think teachers probably can access your results through the challenges profile on the UKMT, but you might have to wait for like the head of maths to give it to your teacher and then to give it to you and that sort of stuff, right? Okay. Shout out to Patrick Caffrey. Okay. I have the problem solver book from the UKMT website. Yeah, the UKMT have quite a lot of official resources in their shop as well. Highly recommend them. The Olympiad ones as well. They sent me one actually, which was very kind of them. I don't know if I've got it handy, but for it was the new Olympiad one. But there's lots of other slightly older ones as well here, like for the Olympiad round as well. I've had this one for a long time. Olympiad handbook by the Gardner and the UKMT sent me Jeff Smith's book, he's one of the people that's in the videos and the chair of the UKMT, and it's, really, he's a I met him a couple of times. He's a professor here at the University of Bath, where I did my PhD, and can't find the book to hand. But anyway, it's got lots of good past paper questions with some hints and problem solving strategies in some of them as well. So have a look at those as well. Okay, let's have a look. Lots more people telling me about their results. 2 off guard, yeah, still a great result. So well done. UKMT one, okay, I haven't actually read that particular one, but yeah, I think all the UKMT ones are going to be good. CJ Bradley. The Australian Maths Trust also have some books. You might have to pay quite a bit for shipping, but I think you can buy PDFs of them from their website as well. Yeah, Ethan, yeah, good luck for next year. Yeah, and this is the perfect time to start preparing for the IMC, actually, right? I know it's just happened, but prepare for next year, right? I've got a free course that's got 125 past paper questions. We're going to put this year's in it as well, so there'll be 150. You can practice, if you practice one every other day, you're going to get through the whole course by next year. And there's also some other upgraded courses as well if you want to have a look at them. But just those past paper questions can get you so far. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yellow fella, I think. This kind of sums it up. 86 compared to 105 is crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's when you look at the difference in previous year, you look at the comparison to previous years, the Olympiad boundaries in particular have really gone down a lot. So I think it was very hard to get through this in the time and to do those hardest questions. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think there's such a problem with the Olympiads, because it's not in recent years in the IMC, you can see that the grade boundaries have got quite close to full marks, especially in the junior maths challenge. The qualification boundary for the Olympiad was very, very high in the last couple of years, and it was more like silly mistakes then that might do it. But the Olympiads don't really have that problem. People don't very often get full marks on the Olympiad, so they don't need to make them harder for that reason. There's always a bit of variability from one year to the next, but of course, the boundaries are always set on how many people get to the different levels. So, I mean, it's hard. It's a hard balance. A good paper is one where you can get into the problems. Most people can do a little bit of it, and you want it to really sort of spread people out across the whole range of marks, and it is quite a difficult thing to do. Year 10 will be the pink Kangaroo if you're in England and Wales. Equivalent year groups in other places. And okay, 1 day to revise. Yeah, some people don't know about the maths challenges, but you will know about it happening next year. It happens at roughly the same time every year, and if you did it this year, you'll probably do it again next year. So yeah, start preparing now. Mathsaurus is there for you with lots of resources. Yeah, in year 7 got silver, year 8 got silver. Realised I wanted to get better, so good. And a lot of people like this. I mean, I was probably a bit like this at school. I got certificates, and pretty good at maths, and was able to do quite a lot of the questions without too much preparation. But I reckon if I'd done a bit more preparation, I think my school did have a little lunchtime thing where we could go and practice a paper or two, for at least for one of the maths challenges. But we didn't do a lot of preparation for the other ones. It was more just like have a go at it. There's so much you can do and prepare and get better at it, so I really encourage you to do that. It really makes the whole experience a lot more thrilling, I think. Make sure to learn or fix MSD. Go ahead, used to make. Yeah, okay, right. Yeah, again, 1 off for Kaylee, but again, don't forget you can make a discretionary entry, Jay, so you can still enter if you want to through your school if you pay. I think it's £25. People at the moment here know their scores because they have remembered what they entered on the challenge as their answers, and they've worked it out by the scoring rules. If you don't remember, you might have to ask your teacher or wait a few days for that. How do you start preparation for the Olympiad? Yep, well, I would strongly recommend a good place to start would be this page on my website, where I've got some resources for the Olympiad, some past paper questions with solutions in this course with my video solutions. They're a bit old, a few years old now. I make better videos these days, but the maths is still excellent in them, and I'm going to be trying to make some more of those in the next couple of weeks as well to add to that, hopefully. Let's go back to the page that had the results on it, though. Just if people are joining us, they might want to see those. All the past papers and things are here as well. You can see this year's video solutions live stream from this page on the Mathsaurus website. Hopefully it's all easy to navigate. Yeah. Good. Yeah, good. Lots of good advice here. Lots of great students in the chat I can see. Yeah, and that's it. You can put the answer on scrap paper, so you can't cheat. Yeah, if you're the last to do it. And again, I think you're allowed to do scrap. You're allowed to write on scrap paper in the exam, and you can usually take that out with you. And you may just remember a lot of the answers potentially as well. Is a silver good enough for further maths A level? Well, I mean, it's not really about. I mean, you can do further maths A level with or without a silver, but yeah, if you're, it's not really, to be ready for further maths A level, you've got to be really good at GCSE maths. The maths challenges definitely help you. I would say I've had lots of further maths students who've been very successful further maths students who have not been very good at the maths challenges necessarily, or it hasn't been like their thing. The maths challenges do have a certain style of maths, certain type of questions. Some people like them, some people don't like them as much. It's focused on sort of number and geometry, whereas when you go to do A-level maths, you do a slightly different style of maths that becomes important. And again, it really shows in the difference when you're looking at preparing for, say, the Olympiad at the senior level compared to preparing for things like math and STEP. I mean, maths no longer, but the TAMUA now. For the university entrance paper exams where it's quite a different type of math. I'll try and make some content about that at some point because it's a bit hard to explain here, but without looking at some actual questions. So 130, great result, well done. I don't know what I got, but it was hard. Yeah, it was a hard paper, and you see the grade boundaries here are low, but it's always hard. I mean, it's not like in previous years it was easy, right? I mean, it's always the IMT is always hard. It's just even harder than normal. Drops around 30. Yeah, so this is an interesting one. I mean, if you've got 103, remember you're in the top 500 people in your year group. In fact, you'd be in the top 500 people in any year group here, so it's an incredible score. But it's always frustrating when you think, okay, if it really is just arithmetic errors and silly mistakes, that's something to think about because, you could easily lose a few more. And overall, by the way, I'd feel very proud because I don't think actually silly arithmetic mistakes are the biggest thing to watch out for. I mean, if you've come to my class, anyone's come to my classes or who has watch my videos will see that I make a few slips here and there as well, and we all do. What you really want to train in maths is not, like for the real world maths, I mean, it's not so much avoiding making mistakes, it's about having systems where you can like check your work, you can watch out for those mistakes, and then you can identify them and then move on, right? So don't feel too hard about it, but it is worth, we do, of course, I'm not saying making mistakes is a good thing, of course, we do want to avoid it. And the more you practice that, the better you'll get at that. I feel like when I do a paper like this now, I probably make fewer mistakes, but I still make silly mistakes. When I did the paper the first time, I made, at least one silly arithmetic mistake I could think of. And probably if I was doing the IMC in real time, I might not have got that mark actually because I'd have missed it, right? I wouldn't have had the time to check it in that situation. But if I was doing it in any other context, I would have probably checked it and actually I did notice my mistake before because I wasn't doing it in time pressure and I checked it and it's like, okay, you can look at common sense answers like, oh, is it when I look at the diagram, does it make sense? Is it a natural answer? There's lots of ways you can kind of try to check answers. It's not about getting it right first time necessarily, but competition maths does obviously reward accuracy, and in maths as well. You do want to work on being accurate when you do longer questions because if you make an arithmetic mistake early on, you want that process of checking and like spotting to happen like sooner rather than later. You don't want to go through the whole question and then realize you've got a mistake early on. But it's like a classic sort of joke that like in maths that oh no, I've done a whole page of maths and I've made a sign error at the beginning and now I have to do the whole thing again. It's a very, very common experience amongst mathematicians from school maths up to professional mathematicians alike. Just hopefully happens less often. I got full. Is that because you ate the paper or something? No, full marks. Okay, if it was full marks, incredible result. Well done. Yeah. Okay. How much? It's out of 135, Dev. If you got everything right, could get down to minus 15. A lot of people who are crazy high scorers do it as different. Yeah, I mean it's an interesting question. I've worked with every year when we run the Olympiad classes, we get people who get gold medals in the top in the country. They do have certain characteristics and certain traits. I think there's probably some sort of base level of ability, and I don't know. I think it's overrated because I think usually people who are very, very strong at maths are people who have like worked at it from quite a young age and have just been consistent at it. I do also see though in the really top achievers that there is this enjoyment of the problems, and almost like a pride in their results, but not a focus on them, and that's a really important distinction. You don't get to like the highest scores by setting like the target to be like, I want to get 100, I want to get 100%, and that's all I care about, because this is really hard. You're going to fail so much along the way. You're going to get so much wrong. You're not always going to manage that. But if your approach is, I love the questions, I want to get better at them, and I enjoy them, then somehow you're going to be in it for the long run. You'll do well in some challenges, you might not do as well in the others. The worst thing I see sometimes is you get really good students and they have like one bad test and they're like, oh, I'm giving up, I'm terrible at it now or something, right? Well, no, we all have bad results sometimes. We all have bad days and we don't always get 100%, especially on the maths challenges. In fact, we very rarely get 100% of the maths challenges. Not even getting 50% on the maths challenges is still a really, really good score, right? But I would say that's the biggest thing, I think. There's obviously like lots of technical things we can talk about, as I do in the classes, about like how you set out answers and sort of the logic that's required of just like but I think that calm sort of logic of just approaching the questions with a curiosity and interest and playfulness, I think is a really good way of doing it. And yes, some tutoring can be helpful, of course. If you've got like an expert who's like sort of helping you through it, and that's why I'm trying to put stuff out on this YouTube channel to help you all for free. And also there are some live classes with me that are not free, but hopefully you can get a huge amount from my free content as well. I'm going to skip through some of the comments here because I want to try and sort of catch up roughly to where we are. Great that so many are here and are chatting. I'm just going to go over your conversation a little bit. So the certificates themselves, I don't know. I think schools can print them themselves these days. I'm not sure if they actually physically send them out or not. But just have to check with your individual school. Sometimes they hold them back for assemblies and things like that. Do they know? I don't. I think schools can see your actual answers, but I'm not 100% sure. I haven't actually seen the what information is sent to schools that recently. Again, and here we go. We've got a student who's told us that they've done really well this year, and they've also easily made silly mistakes on some of the previous ones, and it's true. And that's in a way, getting 100% is probably involves a certain element of luck. I mean, not really. I mean, it's like you've obviously got to be a really, really good student to get anywhere near it. But like whether or not you make a silly mistake on one of the questions, for me, isn't the thing that I would be judging you on. But if you've got over 100 here, got into the Olympiad, you're like really, really a very, very top student. How to make friends? Yeah, this is a good question. I mean, it's really hard. It depends what schools you're in and like who you know. It's a really good thing if you can find someone who can help with maths and you can just talk it through with them. Sometimes it can be like going to another year group and helping a student in the year below, or asking someone in the year above as well. In any given school, there's usually people that really like it, and you could maybe even ask your maths teachers, like if there's someone in the year above who's done well in the maths challenges, who you could talk to about the maths challenges. I mean, I know you people tend to sort of socialise within their own year groups, but I don't think there's any harm in going like a year out, to be honest. There are various Discord servers out there. I used to have one as well, actually, but we don't run it anymore, unfortunately. But there's places out there you can probably find people to as well. I've probably got bronze, and this is the second time I've done this. Good, yeah, well that's a great result. Zara, sorry I got distracted for a second, but yeah, brilliant result if you've got a bronze, top half of people taking it. For a silver, you needed 46, so that's about 10 questions, right? And okay, I think I might have to wrap up soon, by the way. Let's have a look at this one. I try engineering, got 38, could have got 87. Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay. The urge to guess is hard, and especially when you're under time pressure. Like you've got 25 questions. My advice to people who haven't done so many maths challenges is just focus on questions 1 to 10 to begin with, and then if you've got time, we're focusing on 1 to 15. 1 to 15 in almost all years gets you quite close, if not beyond, the gold certificate boundary in the IMC. So great. It's a good strategy to treat the paper as like 1 to 15, and then just like you do the others if you've got a bit of time. So results kind of don't come out in that sense. That we've got the certificate boundaries now. You can calculate your score, and then I think your school will have access to your results. So if you don't remember your exact score, they will tell you. I'm repeating myself a little bit here. Practiced so hard this year, didn't do so well. because I fumbled on the exam. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, this is natural. I mean, dealing. I think another good thing about the maths challenges, you kind of get to practice exam conditions like in a sort of low stakes environment where it doesn't matter so much. So, end of the day, guys, it doesn't really matter if you've done badly in the maths challenges. It's like you either get you get a bonus certificate if it goes well. If not, it's like no one says, why haven't you done one of the maths challenges, right? It's like an extra super curricular thing, I think you call it. So have another go next year though. Don't be put off. Like main thing is you've enjoyed the challenge, you like it, you've learned something, and yeah. So yeah, okay. Oh, someone here close, 82 or 81, aiming for Gailey. Yeah, it sounds like you're sort of on the threshold. Again, if you don't quite make it, remember you can still enter as a discretionary entry. Yeah, I mean, yeah, with this particular year, I hope you mean not overall. Have another go at next year, unless you're in year 11. Have a go at this. Have a go at next year. Oh no, you said you're in year 9. Did you? I can't remember. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting confused. That's already got gold Kangaroo last year. Yeah, and you're right. Okay, well, in the junior maths challenge, right? Or do you mean in the IMC? I don't know. If you've done it in the IMC already, yeah. I mean, but you can collect multiple certificates. I mean, getting a gold every year, I think, is a good achievement, and or in more than one year. And okay, Kangaroo is not the end of the road. There's also the Olympiad. So I mean, there's still that's the nice thing about maths challenges. I think even for the very best students, right? It never gets easy. Like even someone who's got full marks is not going to turn around, I hope, and say it was really easy, and I know I can just definitely do the same every time, right? And that's like the fun of them, right? Okay, right, I think I've got down to the bottom. Currently calculating my score. Did many past papers, and yeah. It seemed well. Yeah, it was. I think as I say, it does seem to have been a harder paper. So yeah, I think a lot of people will feel like that. Any tips for the SMC? Yeah, again, SMC. If you go to the Mathsaurus website here, I've got loads of stuff for the SMC. There's a video here that I've made about how to do well, about the sort of questions that come up. There's a Go for Gold is like top teaching topics, which is part of my membership. I'll be running a live course on it in the Easter, and there is this totally free course with past paper questions, which is a good place to start here. Get ready for the senior maths challenge where you can work through lots of real past paper questions with my video hints and solutions. And if you guys haven't seen the Mathsaurus website, I hope that you will go and have a look at that at some point. Okay, right, I'm gonna wrap up fairly soon. A few more questions. Yeah, you might have underestimated, you might have overestimated, who knows? But again, yeah, it's always a bit nerve-wracking waiting for results, but I hope you do well. And hope that actually more importantly, I hope that even if you don't quite make it, that you've still reflect on it and think that it's been a good thing to have done. And here's one more comment. Hello. Okay. Right. I think I've got to the end of the comments. This is longer than I was planning to do a live stream for this evening. I've got to go. So just to say again, nice to see you all this evening. Thank you so much for coming along. We're going to wrap the live up there. And I will. I've been enjoying doing these lives, so maybe we'll do some more in the future. But there'll certainly be a lot more videos and comments out there as well. So congratulations if you've done well. If you haven't, then keep practicing. Enjoy the problems, and hope to see you all again very soon.